getting right back to our discussion that we're having here. My guest is C. Bernard, and he's the MD of Ibhar Technologies. And we were talking, you need to explain to me much more, how does technology actually help someone, as you said, as a patient in terms of patient safety care? How does technology actually do that?
Okay, so let me focus on what we do.
Yes, please.
Right, I'm sure that there's so much of technology.
Yes.
So I did mention that we actually package the things that a hospital needs to do.
Okay.
Right, and using technology, we easily deliver that to employees so they know what they need to be doing.
What does that mean? I mean, does it mean that you actually physically, if they follow this pattern or these reports?
Precisely.
So is that
so it's more about it's more about procedures that you actually have to to comply with or execute, right, to achieve something. So it could be as simple as saying, well, how do I do my housekeeping? Right, I'm sure there's a procedure. Everybody has. I'm taking a very simple example for us to understand.
Right.
How do I do some cleaning? Right, I'm sure there are 10 ways to do it, but we have identified the best way to do it. Or how do I sterilize certain thing? Or how do I, how do I do a simple thing like how do I do my admission process? Or when I discharge somebody, what do I do and what do I give? What should my discharge somebody look like? Now, some of these have been defined by an ABH.
Oh,
and they would say that you are expected to have at least these things on your discharge summary.
Okay.
Right? Or when you get admitted, you are required to basically do an initial assessment on the patient, right, where they record certain things. So, as part of the procedures, we have already defined in English what that looks like. What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to fill up? Or the practice. So, technology allows us to document, share, communicate. Secondly, just because you have trained or communicated or taught does not necessarily mean that people are going to actually do it. Right?
So you follow it up or what?
No. So we provide a series of monitoring tools.
Okay.
So which hospitals can monitor themselves. And these are monitoring practices. For example, if we said somebody's got to do this, somebody's going to behave this way, somebody's going to practice this way, or somebody's going to record information this way, how do you know they're actually doing it? So let me take a very simple example, right? And I would say that if I need to get a consent from a patient,
yes,
I need to make sure that they sign it, or they've dated it. The person who took the consent actually signed, so I know who took the consent. It's a very simple thing, right? And this can be taught in 2 minutes. People know it's not that they're not aware, but how do you ensure they're actually taking that signature or signing on it on every consent form? That's a difficult thing.
Yes.
So let me present a very simple, and I've used this example often possibly in all my presentations, and that would be, we have some fantastic infrastructure now. Now I think it's easier for us to relate to this. Earlier we had issues with our infrastructure, right? We would have bad roads, potholes, all that kind of thing. Now we have much better infrastructure, we have good roads, but that does not change the way people drive on those roads. Isn't it? I do still see, these billboards and displays which talk about the importance of wearing a helmet or wearing a seat belt. Now, those displays have not really changed people's behavior at all, isn't it? I don't see it in our country, right? But when we travel elsewhere, we automatically fall in line. I've never seen anybody overseas drive the way we drive here, right? So we fall in line. We drive according to the rules.
So is that the environment itself?
I think it's a combination of two things, right? One is it's the environment, yes. But I think it's also this thing about saying, well, I'm being monitored, and if I do not comply, I'm going to be penalized. I'm going to lose some points on my driving license, or I'm going to lose my driving license, right? So we believe that monitoring forces people to behave in a certain manner, right? Or forces people to practice certain things in a certain manner. So we used. So what we have really done is we've used that aspect, right, which changes behavior, and we brought that into hospitals, and we said, let's use that to empower people by which they can monitor practices as frequently as they can. So there are certain things I can monitor every day, right? There are certain things I'll monitor every week, right? So, and we've seen now that when you monitor that way, people do change their behavior.
What about nursing staff, for instance, in a big hospital or a small hospital, for instance? Would they come under this gambit that you're talking about?
Yeah. So in fact, I was actually going to, cover with an example, right? So there's this hospital we work with. It's like a 270-bedded hospital, and we basically got them going to track certain things every day. So we had this checklist of some 20 questions, and we got senior nursing staff to go to every nursing station and check if people are in compliance with those 20 things. These could be simple things. This could be saying, well, did the nurse dispose of the needles after she used it? Or is she segregating the biomedical waste properly? Is she documenting certain things properly, right? So in this hospital, we had these nurses go every day to a particular ward, check this, and we told them, if something is not compliant, you have to tell the people around in the nursing station that you're not doing this properly. That's all they're required to say, and then they use the technology to tick on the thing, which is now on a mobile app, and record that information, right? So technology here helped them to know what they need to do, check if they're doing that every day, and I have this information. But this activity, happened over a couple of months. At the end of 2 months, we realized the non-compliances dropped by almost 50%.
Oh, that's terrific as a result for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right, but Bernard, I'd like to ask you here, you told me you have 200 customers, okay? 200 hospitals, right?
Hospital, yes.
So are these private hospitals? Are these government hospitals? So what kind of organizations are these? Are these big ones, small ones, down the road?
All of these, other than 2, are private hospitals. Some are large. Well, we have, we work with a large hospital. When I say large, it's like 500 bedded and above. We work with some 3 or 4 medical colleges, right? And the others are, so most of these are 10 bedded and above, 50 bedded, so they would be the range of, well, I think 60% of our hospitals would be in the range of 50 to 100 bedded.
Right. I'm particularly surprised that you have said it's 2 government hospitals. So do you, in the future, see that you'll have more government hospitals on your rolls, as it were? I'm sure you want that, but is it possible?
I think we've had some extremely pleasant experience with government hospitals. Right?
Really?
And I will, given an opportunity, we'll love to work with government hospitals, because what we see is the government hospitals have phenomenal infrastructure, right? So every other hospital is large. They have enough space. They have,
and they have patients. There are lots and lots.
They have lots of patients.
Yes.
They have lots of. Well, I think there's understaffed, but I guess the government hospitals have fantastic equipment now, at least in Tamil Nadu, right?
Right.
I think they have wonderful equipment. They have huge infrastructure. They have lots of patients. I think the challenges there are more to do with human resources, right? So they do not have enough number of people. But I guess that's an easily solvable thing. Well, in the sense when you just put, well, I would say just put in people and it's fixed, right? But
bureaucracy?
Because we have not really, fortunately, we've not had to go through that process, right? So I'm saying, so hence working with government hospitals has been an extremely pleasant thing for us, because people are willing to do things, though they are understaffed, from a certain sense. And the structure, they have a structure. They have a fear of losing their. Now, most people who work in the government do not want to get transferred, for example.
Right. Well, Bernard, I'm afraid we've run out of time, but I can see that this is an extremely interesting discussion. I'd love to get you back in here some other time, and I'm going to take up and catch up from where we've left off today. Sure. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I think that at the end of this day, if the patient safety care can become better and better, I think that's the way to go, and we'll have to thank somebody like you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
It was a pleasure.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you watch us here on this program. So you just keep watching Going Beyond. Remember that this is the program on which you're going to get lots of information, and it's always from an interesting and a fascinating guest. So we'll be with you again. You take care, and bye for now.